Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to the live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And I am Warren Davis, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys here on another beautiful day. Another beautiful day out here in Peoria, Arizona. A little overcast, and I love it like that. We're here on the 30th of April, last day of April. Tomorrow, May 1st. So we're here to get your questions answered, and we certainly are glad that there are those of you that are on the call here with us, and we want to do our best to address those questions that we have. Of course, based on our normal format, we will be getting your questions answered in the order they came in. We have so many questions from the 27th, which was Monday, 27th of April. So we're going to get those questions answered first and then bring in any new questions. Hopefully you can see my screen, LPG deal flow, and you can hear me well on over the microphone. If for some reason you can't, or you have any audio or visual issues, it's best to just log out of the call and log back in, and you'll be able to, hopefully that clears up some whatever issue you may be having. So anyway, welcome, and we're going to go ahead and get your questions answered here. Those of you that are brand new, we do have some folks that are brand new on with us, pretty sure, that are going to be on the webinar here. And if you want to send in your questions, make sure you just type them in. Appreciate the fact that you've been typing in the word question or putting a question mark in front of question, so that I know this is a question as opposed to an actual statement or comment that you're making. So if you put the question mark or question in front of your question and go ahead and ask your question, put as much context around it as possible so that I know exactly what your issue is. I always appreciate that. Okay, so getting your questions answered, we're going to start with the ones that we had from last week and just move right on in to all of our questions from Investment Dominator. We do want to keep this as much as possible to the Investment Dominator, but we will take questions on other issues, you know, like some business issues as well. And so now I am looking for my Investment Dominator screen. Okay. Here you go. Questions coming in from last week or earlier this week, Monday specifically. We're going to start with, we do want to make sure that we mentioned to you, you know, we had some brand new folks that came through the 2-day Investment Dominator Maximizer workshop. And so they are on the call probably with us today. And so there's, of course, 3 or 4 different mindsets on the call. You know, some of you have maybe taken a break from the business for a while, and now you're back and you're trying to get up to speed on the changes of the Investment Dominator, which have been numerous over just the last couple of months. And so there's that mindset on the call. And there's the person that just started with Investment Dominator. Some of you might be on the call that you just got Investment Dominator last week or maybe in the last few days, and you're really brand new into the Investment Dominator. And then there's, of course, those of you that have been doing the business for a while, and you have probably some more or less say advanced questions, because you know you've been using the software and you know that the power of the software. So you now are getting into different aspects of the software that maybe the beginner is not into. And just whoever's on the call, we want you to feel always welcome to ask your questions. And I guess I should log in here. All right, just keep in mind, this is not a personal account. This is a demo account. And so we have data that's set up, you know, just for demonstration purposes. Okay. So question number 1 we got from Madonna on Monday. And Madonna was asking, must you have Microsoft Excel and Word installed on your computer to use the Investment Dominator? So if you notice, there's a lot of, we go into prospects, actually, I'll just go right into campaigns. To answer Madonna's question, to use Investment Dominator, you don't need Microsoft Excel and Word not to use the Investment Dominator, but you do need Microsoft and Word to be able to access the documents. So the answer is to use it efficiently. Yes, you do need Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word. So in other words, Microsoft has a suite of products that you can get, I think, in bundle and save money on that. But I've talked to several of you that on some of the onboard calls, and you might have a Mac computer or some other type of computer, and you haven't installed the Microsoft Word or but like able to, if you want to open or download our letters here, and I'm just probably shouldn't have downloaded everything, all the prospect letters, but it's opening right now. But this is an example of your prospect letters that are definitely in Word. So if you wanted to be able to process them or use the Microsoft, be able to basically to pull your neutral letters out of Investment Dominator or see them in Investment Dominator, you see here I'm opening up Word. So that's why it's important for you to have that installed on your computer. All right. May seem like a basic question, but it's really important to have those kind of questions answered. Okay. So let's see, we close that out. Next time I'll be a little bit more careful. I'm going to bring up another. This is a separate demo account for Investment Dominator that allows me to demo certain features that I can't demo with the other account. All right, here we go. So now we got our two accounts here. So that was question number 1. And okay. And I see we've got our questions coming in here already. So okay. Another question that we have that came in on the 27th that I looked up, and actually is a good question, came from Tom on Monday. Is there a way to see the actual documents that I created and sent within Investment Dominator? So if I'm understanding this question correctly, Tom, is there a way to see the actual documents that she created? So the way Investment Dominator works, documents created and sent in Investment Dominator. Okay, the way Investment Dominator works is Investment Dominator creates for you dynamically. The question is there a way to see the actual documents that he created and that he's already sent? So let's say you have these neutral letters, and they're created right now. So as soon as I went into the land deals area, let me go back here real quick. My system is kind of slow today. I may have to reboot here. I wish I'd done that before. But anyway, you see the prospects, okay? So there's many prospect records, when we go into campaigns, the campaigns area, Investment Dominator dynamically creates all of these records, the prospect records. And I won't open that up again because it takes a few minutes. So that's a dynamic creation. It creates it right now for you. So let's just say I wanted to create just one. So I go in and I generate documents, and I go and I look at that prospect neutral letter that I just created. Okay, so I just created one. This is a dynamic creation. It pulls in the signature. It pulls in your different, your sell site. Your buying site. It pulls in the property APN. It pulls in the customer's name. This is dynamic. It pulls in the specific date. This is a dynamic creation. It creates it right on the spot. Now, Tom is saying, well, is there a way for me to be able to see these documents that I've created? If there's any offers, any offers or any records in pending preliminary research, they're going to be dynamically created right here on the spot. If you want to see those, Investment Dominator does not keep them. The moment you exit out of this session, right? The moment I exit out of that, any documents that I just saw created, they go away. It wouldn't be cost effective for us to save all of the documents that get created somewhere. If you can imagine thousands and thousands of people using the Investment Dominator and us trying to save all of the documents that get created for you to access them at some future point. Unfortunately, the answer to that is no. We don't keep the documents that are created. Now, excuse me, if you want to create them, if you want to keep them, just like if I created this one prospect neutral letter, I can now, once I create this document, I can save it on my computer somewhere. So you're welcome to save it, but that's going to take, you're going to spend a lot of time and it's going to take a lot of space in order to save those documents. So no, we don't do that at this time anyway. All right. So let's see if we have anything around that. Okay, we do have a quick question I can answer. Kind of it's unrelated, but it's from Anita regarding does the SSL certificate need to be renewed? Yes. And if so, when? Okay. So I'll explain to you what Anita's talking about there. Does the SSL certificate need to be renewed? SSL, this has to do with your buying and your selling sites. And SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer. So each of your sites, when you go up under Customize, those that I've walked through, how to set up your buying site and your selling site. Your buying site, when you go in here to change your domain, then you type in your domain, hopefully that you purchased from GoDaddy. You say yes, you go next, you confirm it. Now, here is where you secure your domain. With your Investment Dominator, you get 2 free SSL certificates or Secure Socket Layer certificates, which is just simply a way of putting the lock on your site. So when people access your site rather, they know that your site is secure because they see a lock here, as opposed to having the words not secure. We give you 2 free SSL certificates, one for your buying site and one for your selling site. As you can see, mine was set up, and I think it's for 90 days at a time. So what's going to happen is when your site, actually in 45 days, this SSL certificate is going to basically expire, which means that instead of having this lock, I would have the words not secure. I don't think in fact, I'm going to talk to the technical people, but I don't think there's going to be an automatic renewal. So that just means that you'll have to come into your buying and selling site. If you check your buying and selling site app, you'll see that it will probably say not secure when this expires. So you just come in here, change your domain. Your buying site will already be there because you already configured it. You say yes, click next, click confirm. And when you click here to secure it, make sure you don't hit OK. You click here to secure. It'll come in here and it should say generate SSL again. And that's where you'll generate it again. The system will spin for about 15 seconds. Then you'll get a message saying it was generated successfully. And I think it'll be set up for another 90 days or 3 months. So that's the way you come back in, and then you click OK. And then don't forget, even though you have your domain displaying here, you'll have to scroll to the bottom and hit update site. If you don't do that, once you get back to this stage, if you don't click update site, the system will not go out and gather that SSL certificate, and your site will still say not secure up here. All right, so even though you go through the steps to resecure, or excuse me, to renew your SSL certificate, you must scroll to the bottom and hit update site each time, okay? So hopefully that will answer that question, how you're going to update that, Anita, and it's something, something we have to keep an eye on every 90 days. So you might put a reminder in your calendar, at the date that you need to renew it, so that you'll go in and you'll renew it, and people will be seeing your site is still secure. Okay. Teresa asked a question on Monday. Teresa's question: What is Smith AI? Smith AI, as it relates to the company phone. So what she's talking about here is in your Investment Dominator under Customize, and you look at company info. I demonstrated this once, and as you can see, I have, when I'm talking about Ring Central being one number, 2 extensions, I have Pat Live or Smith AI over here. Smith AI is another call center, just like Pat Live. So in this scenario, when the caller calls this Ring Central number, hits extension 1, the call is forwarded to Pat Live, or if you don't have Pat Live, it's forwarded to a Smith AI number. So Smith AI is just another person that's going to pick up the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and answer your neutral letter calls specifically. So, and do I have any experience with Smith AI? I do not. I can't tell you if they're good, or I just know that there's a couple of students that I've talked to that use Smith AI as opposed to Pat Live. I've used Pat Live for the last 3+ years, and I'm very, I know how to manage them. I know what to expect from them. So, I'll look into Smith AI to see if it gives me any advantages, but, basically just know that it's a call center. All right. So Ed had a good question from Monday. We're just going to knock these out as we can. Okay. 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 Okay, so I see the questions coming in. I'm gonna get to them hopefully as soon as I get through this backlog that we have for Monday, or if I don't get to them today, of course, I will do my best to get them answered on Monday in our session then. So Ed's question is, what specific questions do you ask the county when doing detailed research other than if the lot is buildable and has utilities? So what specific questions do I ask the county? Okay. And other than, is the lot buildable? Okay. It's actually built in your Investment Dominator. You may or may not have realized that, but these questions that you can ask the county, just the same questions if I were Pat Live. And let's go into a prospect record. If I wanted to know from certain information from the county, just like as if I were wanting to know this information from, if Pat Live were getting into our system and they want to know this information, I'm going to start with the property information. These are the questions. Now, obviously, I'm going to know the APN, and I should know which county the parcel is located in because I'm calling that specific county. So that's kind of a moot point there. If there's a property address, I'll want to know that. I should be able to find that from the county records. I should know the property city, and obviously I'll know what state the property is in. I could ask the county about the property zip. I could verify the size of that parcel based on the APN number, because sometimes, a lot of times in the records, we don't have the actual size of the parcel, or the customer, when they were on the phone, didn't give the right size of the parcel. So I'll verify that with the county. I'm going to ask them that. I don't usually go into property dimensions or now the terrain. I would ask them about that definitely. Is it flat? Is it sloping? In valley? Rolling? What anything that matches the terrain here. Definitely going to ask them about zoning. Is it zoned agricultural? Is it zoned commercial? Is it zoned residential? Definitely going to ask them the zoning off the top. I will be finding the annual base taxes in the records, the county records. So I don't really need to ask them that. They may or may not know if there's any HOA. The sellers will actually know that. So you may or may not have this information at the time you're calling the county. But I think what Ed is describing is, when you're doing a detailed research, right? When you're doing detailed research, so you've sent a neutral letter out. They have responded saying, I want an offer. You have sent them an offer. And now they have said, I accept your offer. I accept your offer. So 4 words I love. So when you're doing the detailed research, these are the questions you can go through and ask the county specifically. Then we get into the property liens area. So I'm just going right through my Investment Dominator record. They may or may not know, the county may or may not know if there's any liens or back taxes. That's why you do a detailed, you'll do a title search. You'll have either your title company do a title search, or you'll order an independent title search, because you want to find out if there's any liens. But you can find out if there are back taxes by looking in the county records. So you don't necessarily get that information from the county. But again, I'll know the assessed value from looking at the county records. I might ask the county, they may not know if there's any additional improvements on that property. They may or may not know, but they'll know if it needs a septic tank. They'll know if there's a well, or if there's anything else that may pertain. They'll know if there's electricity in the area. So here we go down to these other questions. Are there power lines? They should know that. And does the property have any road access? They should also know that. So again, these are the areas within the Investment Dominator that I'm going to ask the county. I'll look at property value, I'll look some into property liens, and I will definitely be asking them questions from the property information area. So hopefully that gives you kind of a an idea when you're talking to the county, you're doing your deep dive research. You basically want to call the county and ask them anything about that area that they might know, and they'll give you an earful. I mean, about what's coming, and you can always put that in the other area here, because the other field, because county people, especially if you be nice to them and you be polite, don't be demanding, don't be like you're entitled to this information, but respectful of their time, they will be very nice to you and they'll give you extra information. And you'll actually get to know them. They'll give you their name and it's be like you found a new friend. So hopefully that will help you give you some insight on how to deal with the county folks. They're really nice people, most, by and large. I've heard some stories, but I've had good experience with them. So Ruth asked a question. We have, basically about 2 domains. So Ruth, the question is, with 2 domains, is this the same reason as the phone number? Can we get away with using one to start? And the answer to that, Ruth, is no. Can we only use one domain to start? And I do understand the question. You remember the domains on GoDaddy that you're going to purchase. Hopefully, you're going to purchase on GoDaddy. They're $11.99 for the .com domain. All you need is a .com domain, $11.99 for an entire year. So for like $24, you'll have both of your domains. The sites that you're going to use those on in Investment Dominator is absolutely free. So you have your free buying site and you have a free selling site. And the reason, to answer your question, is this the same as with the phone number, where you have your sellers of property, which are going to go into your buying site, and you have your buyers of property, which are going to go on your selling site. So is it the same reason? Yes, it's basically the same rationale. We're keeping these 2 separate markets apart from each other. And if you just have one site, I don't know which site you would pick, because your buying site is necessary for folks when you send them out a neutral letter. It's gonna reference your buying site on that neutral letter. So you definitely want them to know, hey, this is my buying site. You want to sell property to me, or you want your cousin to sell property to me, or you want your uncle. Here's my buying site, and you'll want that site up and functional. Now, at some point in the near future, after you get some offers accepted and you are now putting land under contract, you'll want your selling site to be up and functional. And I say, as usual, you all folks know, I talk about the big 3 items before you do business, before you even start to send out any neutral letters or calculate offers, is to set up your profile information, which has your signature on here, and definitely then you go in to customize and set up your company information, which has to do with all of your phones. And trust me, folks have tried to send out letters without having this information in place, and they find out there's a lot of information on their neutral letters missing. So you definitely want to have your company information in place, your phone systems tested. Not only your phone system listed, but you want to call that phone number just like you were a brand new prospect trying to sell land to this person. You want to call those numbers and make sure if they're supposed to go to Pat Live that they go there. So you want to have this set up, and you definitely want to have your buying and selling site domains purchased and configured and functioning, so that when you go in here and you hit buying site, boom, something happens, right? It brings up your buying site. And then when you go in and you hit you know, your selling site or your opt-in site, it brings up the correct page, right? And then finally, if you have listings, you know, you want to make sure that those listings appear as they're to appear on your selling site. So you don't even want to start doing business until you have these set up and are in place. Okay. Okay. So if we got an issue with audio here, I'm gonna just write a little note. Let's see. Someone just joined. Let's see. L-A-L-I. And yeah. Your or speed. Okay, so you're having audio issues, and I know she couldn't hear me, so I'd have to type it. So log out, log back in again, and also check your speakers, make sure they're securely inserted either into your computer port or your USB connection. So those of you that ever have this issue in the future, you log in and you don't have any audio, log out, log back in again into the call. And a lot of times that clears up whatever your issue is, okay? So let's move on here. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Robert said it sounds all clear here to him. So I'm thinking I would hear a few more people let me know they can't hear it if they couldn't hear it. Okay. Leonilla asked a question on Monday. Okay, the question is, after we do the due diligence and research, which template do we use to send the offer, and do we send the contract agreement with it? Which template do we use? Okay. All right. I know for some of you, these are very basic questions, but they are important for everyone to be clear on exactly how to do each function as it relates to your deal flow process. Okay, which systems we use for sending offers? All right. Okay, basically, here we go in our land deals. Leonilla, if you're going to send out offers, I'm going to look at the stage offer requests. Keep in mind, these are all stages of your deal flow process. I'm going to look at offer requests here. This is status. So any record in pending preliminary research status, and if there is an actual offer amount, that Investment Dominator is going to generate your offer. So Leonilla was asking, you know, after you do your due diligence and you research which template and you want to send out an offer. So you've calculated the market value and you're going to actually send out an offer. Which one do we use? And basically, let's say I want to go in here and I just say I want to generate documents. Okay, the fact that I have an offer, you see, this is the section you're going to use here. Leonella, is the offers section. And you have an offer cover letter that you want to send out. Offer cover letter is like this, and it states, you know, how much the seller is going to get and basically how much you're paying out for this deal to happen. Then, again, in here, you want to send out the actual offer, which is what we call a sale agreement. And this sale agreement says right here, this is what's going to be net to seller. So these are if you want to say the templates. We call them built-ins because Investment Dominator, they're built into Investment Dominator. They automatically are produced for you right here. And they have all of the necessary information when the offer is going to expire and the closing date, like, you know, when you're going to close on this. We normally give ourselves, you know, 6 months. So this gives you your closing date. And these are the templates, if you will, that you send out. Definitely, we send out the contract agreement and we send out the cover letter. So now there's a talk and discrepancy about, you know, do we need to send out the Exhibit A? You can. If you don't, it's not a bad thing. Exhibit A can be sent out, but a lot of folks, you know, don't want to print that extra page of paper for such a small, you know, Exhibit A, printing a whole sheet of paper for such a small amount of information. So when you're sending out an offer, it's not as important. This is going to really come into play should you want to sell the property. So you'll have to have your Exhibit A in place. And so I'm hoping that's clear to you that these are the areas where you go to get your offer. Okay? And obviously in the workshop, we just did a blind offer. So if you want to do blind offers, this is area where you would pull the blind offer information. Okay. All right. Okay, so around that same question, Robert's saying he didn't see. Robert saying he did not see a offer amount on my pending preliminary research dashboard page. Oh, okay. After creating an offer. Okay. Did not see offer amount. I know exactly what's happening, Robert. Amount on the dashboard page. Okay. And why is that? Okay, simple. Okay, so I have this offer amount category here. In order for you to control what's displayed here, the default settings does not automatically display this. So what you do, you go over here and hit this view right here. Hit view, and you come in here. See, for the default view, offer amount will not be selected. You simply select offer amount and click save, and the offer amount will show here. So it's view. It just says view here, right? That's all I did. You are welcome. All right, just hit view and create. Some of you folks, as I've looked at some of your views of your screens, you've got like, I mean, 20 of these selected. You know, you're displaying some of everything, and so your screen is really crowded with a lot of information. So, and that's because somebody went into view and they clicked that and saved it. Not necessary to do. We just want this offer amount, and we want this in place because if there's an offer amount and the record's in pending preliminary research, and you have a market value calculated, Investment Dominator will present or it'll produce an offer for you. If you don't have at least this offer amount and the market, and it's not in pending preliminary research, you won't get an offer. So hope that covers that well enough for you. You're welcome. Very good. All right. Okay, Dennis asked a question, a very interesting question on Monday. He says he regularly gets, let me just read the question here. I get regular messages from Pat Live about 30% of the time telling me the website is not working. Okay. And he wants to know if anybody else is seeing that type of message if you're using Pat Live. Those of you that are on there, quite a few of you on. So if you're seeing that message, just go ahead and type in, yes, I'm seeing it, or something like that. Don't worry, if you're not seeing it, don't even worry about typing anything. But if you're seeing this message, some kind of message that says, the Pat Live, the website is not working, go ahead and type it in. Now, I don't go on Pat Live's website that often. Okay, so Maxine did say, she chimed in and said that she does see that message. She's seen that message a few times. Thank you, Maxine, for letting us know that. If you're getting that message and you've seen it, and it's getting to be kind of a bother, like you really need to get into Pat Live's site and you want to find out what's going on, I would call their customer service right there on the spot and report this as an issue to a supervisor. One thing is Pat Live is pretty customer service oriented. And they do want you to be happy because they make their money from, customers like yourself using their services. So call the customer service and ask them, let them know, hey, I'm getting this message, on a regular basis. What's the deal? Why does this message keep popping up? Understand, Pat Live is a third-party person or third-party organization that we encourage you to use to help simplify your life. We really have no direct connection. We being, the Jack Bosch organization really has no direct connection with Pat Live in terms of, we can't influence their activity. We just supply them as someone we ask you to use or we suggest that you can use if you want to make your life easier in terms of, taking the phone calls. We don't control any of their activity. So anything that's going wrong with any third-party software, whether it's Revo Gateway or Agent Pro 247, or if it's Ring Central, we can't really control their activity. So we're not trying to just pass the buck, but you basically need to call their customer service and let them know this is an inconvenience for you. Okay. Hopefully that will help some of you. Thank you for chiming in. Thomas says often they won't change the status in that instance. Okay, often they won't change the status. All right, well, at least, once you get a supervisor on the phone, and you can ask for a supervisor of especially with Pat Live, and once the supervisor gets involved, they will take some action, and all those calls are recorded, so you can always go back and get a recording of your call with the supervisor if you need to prove, that they didn't take the actions necessary to resolve your issue. Okay, very good. Let's see if I can handle this question here. Wow, our time just flies by. Shanice had a question. When printing out offers, okay, I was just kind of on this. When printing out offers, we send cover sheet, the offer, and Exhibit A. Okay, I did address that a little bit, Shanice. Sorry I didn't get this question earlier. When we're sending out offers, generate documents. Okay, you're sending out offers, and her question specifically is Exhibit A. You know, do we need to print Exhibit A? And that's an optional thing for you because it's an entire sheet of paper, and some of you are doing your own printing, you know, at home, especially when it comes to your offers, you do your own printing. So you want to print an extra sheet of paper for an Exhibit A when it's not really going to make or break the deal, right? Now, that said, I will say this one thing. We've had situations where some of our offers that we've sent multiple offers because the owner owns multiple parcels, right? So Exhibit A does help them identify. Okay, I have to, in order to demo what I'm talking about here, I have to use this record here. All right, Exhibit A does help them identify the specific parcel that we're talking about, okay, especially if it's a short description or whatever. So in the event or in the cases where you have an owner that has multiple parcels, if that were the case, and let's say they owned about, you know, 4 different parcels and you're giving them offers on all 4 of those parcels, I would include Exhibit A. If it's just one parcel that you were dealing with, you can just send the cover letter and the offer amount because that's what they're most interested in. But if it's multiple parcels, I would go on along with the offer for each of those parcels. I would send out the Exhibit A so they can identify which parcels you're talking about that you're making the offer on. It should have a unique APN number. That's true, but a lot of the customers will be able to identify it based on the location of that parcel to make sure that you're giving them an offer on the right parcel. That could help you get the deal, actually, because you took the time to identify Exhibit A for them so that they could understand which ones you're doing a offer for. Hopefully it will help, you know, going forward. Okay. Okay, we still have questions coming in here, and we still have a few from Monday. Let me make sure I get all of questions written down. So here we are. Wow, 48 minutes into the call already. And Bob's question from Monday is, if you decide at a later date to move from Ring Central to another voice over IP provider, can you move the telephone number? Okay, who's the owner? So if you decide at a later date to move from Ring Central, now see, this is where I don't know how that works. You have to ask them from Ring Central to another voice over IP, or it says VOIP, voice over IP provider, who owns the telephone number. Now, that's another way of saying, is the number portable? Whatever number you might have under customize in your company information, all right, this number, if it comes from Ring Central, what you have to make sure that you ask, you do want to make sure you ask Ring Central, is this number portable? So once I get this number from you, do I own this number myself? And if I go to, you know, wherever I may go in the future, I can always access this number as my own number. And so then I could set it up on another, provider of the phone service. That's something you have to clarify with them. And yeah, thank you, Thomas. He's chiming in to let me know that it depends on the provider. Some providers, some phone numbers are not portable, and you need to specify that with Ring Central. I can't tell you exactly yes or no definitively, but I can tell you that they can tell you definitively when they issue you a number, is this number portable? And that would be the best way to, that's the way I would handle it. Just ask them straight up. Okay, James asked a very interesting question here. This is more of a advanced question, but we're gonna do our best. James is asking, okay, are our current sites WordPress? And can we have a WordPress site built and have our buying and selling sites in Investment Dominator connect to those sites and exchange information with Investment Dominator? So I'm going to say, are our current sites WordPress? And just for those of you that may or may not know, WordPress is basically, it's a content management system. So WordPress can actually create a site for you. WordPress can also allow you to do blogging, right? So anytime you go up to the help facility and you search our user guide, and let's say I type in the word import, any articles you search on our user guide, these are built in WordPress. So this article was actually produced and written in WordPress, and then we attach a video. So on the Investment Dominator, we use WordPress primarily from a blogging standpoint, because the way, like, I write articles here, and Alex writes articles, and any of the articles that you see, this is a WordPress. We use it as a blogger in this case, and then we tie that into our user guide so that you all can come up now and access those articles. So, but our entire Investment Dominator, to my knowledge, is definitely not WordPress. And how we program an Investment Dominator, that's another whole conversation. But basically, you can interact if you have a WordPress site. If you go up under help and you type in Zapier, you can create a Zapier connection to any site that and will allow you to connect to any site and pass information back and forth through Zapier connection with the Investment Dominator. So some of you coming in, you have another selling site that based on how long you've had your selling site, the SEO is pretty high, which means that the search engine optimization is very high. So people are used to using your site. You've got a lot of people that look at your site, and so a lot of you want to maintain that SEO, that search engine optimization, and it's pretty high. So you want to have Investment Dominator send data to your existing site. You can set up a Zapier connection with any site. So yes, if you want to do it with a WordPress site, you can do it with that. But just keep in mind, we've already built some sites for you in Investment Dominator. If you're brand new, I definitely would encourage you to use the existing buying and selling site. But if you have a site that's already in place and it's been working well and people come to that site regularly, you can then interact with that by setting up the Zapier connection. Okay, I hope that's hope that, James, gives you some context into what is available. Okay, and I can answer one more question here. It's not going to take me long to answer this one. Leonilla is asking, does 8x8 provider do what RingCentral does? And I've heard of 8x8, but quite honestly, Leonilla, I can't say that it does exactly what RingCentral does. I know RingCentral has a lot of features, that a lot of, and keep in mind, it's just a phone service, but it has a lot of features, and I don't know enough about 8x8 to be able to say that it can do everything RingCentral can do. I know RingCentral, pretty powerful. It provides video conferencing, provides a lot of different services for phones, like, the one phone number, 2 extensions. It's for the purposes of our business. If I weren't with RingCentral, okay, let's just say if I were not with RingCentral, I would use, Pat Live has a Tresta, Pat Live, their Tresta, and I think there's a few of you out there that are using Pat Live's Tresta. For our purposes, see, all we want from RingCentral is one number and 2 extensions, right? That's all we want from RingCentral. Pat Live, their Tresta application or their Tresta system does the same thing as RingCentral does. For our purposes, Pat Live Tresta is what I would use. I would either be using RingCentral or Pat Live Tresta. From what I understand, they've gone up a few dollars. Pat Live Tresta, I think, is up to like $20 now. And please, when they first, don't quote me on these prices because they could have gone up again. But when we first started, Pat Live Tresta was only $16, right? And RingCentral for one phone number, 2 extensions was like $30. So we had a lot of folks going to use Pat Live Tresta, one number, 2 extensions, because they would get the same feature for $16. I don't know if that was the case, but my point is, I do know Pat Live Tresta. I don't know 8x8, so I don't want to definitely give you an answer on that. That would be incorrect. All right. So thank you so much, people. We've got 1 minute left here, and just wanted to thank you all for being on the call. Thank you for your questions coming in. And again, send your questions in via the ticket system. Create a support ticket, put your question in, and you can even specify, for the live Q&A training call, and then they'll get that ticket. They'll get that question to me. Hopefully I'll be able to put it in our links. So with the 1 minute we have left here, let me leave this thought with you. Courage and strength. A truly strong person does not need the approval of others any more than a lion needs the approval of sheep. Okay, so stay strong, stay encouraged. And this one saying I always like, which I didn't know it's anonymous, is don't let the fear of what might happen cause nothing to happen in your life, especially with this business. Don't let the fear of what might happen make nothing happen. So have a good weekend, good remainder of your day, And we'll look forward to being right here back with you on Monday, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern, to get all your questions answered. All right. Have a good day, folks. Take care.